Welcome to Own the Chaos.
Chaos Crew.
The stock market is crazy and chaotic.
And then there's the Kronos Group. Yes, people, how could I not have a pot stock on this list?
Brad and Fat Man Zoom are here to help you own it.
All right, we got the top stocks to buy if Kanye wins the presidency.
Taking it to the suits, being relatable and hilarious.
That is crazy.
We have a nice super boner, quite a
Holy
lovely
hell.
green one.
Over $31.
We have a nice super boner.
We should be good now.
Rookies.
God damn it. We're going to start over again. I'm going to wait till this catches up and everybody's going to say, okay, now we can hear you. There's going to be like 10,000.
We have a nice super boner.
Let's. Oh my God, you guys. Let's wait for it to catch up. Oh, I see a couple yeps. I think we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We have a nice super boner. That's how we started this out.
It was perfect too.
Wait,
Governor, we have a nice super boner, Governor.
So like, it always happens this way where like, you know, we just nail the intro and there's literally audio issues. This happened on Thursday too. But anyways, let me just start this over. We're going to start over. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stock Watch Sunday. This is Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. The man to my left is Fat Man Zoom. If you're visiting for the first time, welcome to the channel. Hopefully we earn a subscription from you, even though we are perfectly imperfect. And like this video if you guys want to support this channel. We certainly would appreciate it. There is so much to talk about that's going on this week. Fat Man Zoom, what do we have going on?
All right. So we're talking Tesla. It's all about Tesla. Some of you guys may have some questions about the vaccine, Pfizer, how that's going to play this week. If you have those questions, save them for the end. I'm sure we're going to get into those discussions. But if it's your first time here, I'll tell you how it's broken down. We're going to talk about our main topic, which everybody should already know. We're going to talk a little bit about that, give some commentary. Then we're going to get into our 5 stocks that we're watching this week, break those down. And then the second half of the show is going to be dedicated to answering your guys' questions in the Q&A. So I know there's already questions going on. I know this chat's blowing up. And for whoever said we don't look at it, we do look at it. We see you guys saying no sound.
We see it. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. I would have had no idea. We'd still be talking.
Exactly.
I would have no idea. So thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So for the sake of time, let's begin. What do you say, bro?
Let's do it.
All right. So S&P 500. Tesla, all the talk. On next Monday, the 21st, Tesla will officially be in the S&P. And you and I wanted to discuss a little bit about what this means for this week. And we said this a month ago. So about a month ago, I think it was like November 16th, S&P announced, hey, Tesla's going into the S&P 500, and which is longer than normal. A month is long.
Yeah.
And so there's been questions about what that's going to look like. And what we've kind of said from the beginning was it's going to be sideways, more or less. And there's going to be extreme volatility, but then this was the week. So we're here this week. I wanted to get your thoughts on how you think it's going to play out, what you're doing about it, and, you know, position size, all the other stuff. And if you have any plans for this week, moving beyond next week as well?
Yeah, I mean, and it's all great questions. And I know that you guys have the similar questions and just kind of want to know what to do, right? I mean, Tesla's moved up 50% since that announcement. And we've talked about trimming things along the way. There's been obviously some significant pullbacks. We also got news that Tesla seems to be halting their Model S and Model X production for whatever reason. There's a couple of reasons why. Obviously, there's the Rona that has a lot to do with it too. So there's some issues going on with that. Elon Musk also put out an email about there being just extreme demand and having, a little bit of an issue keeping up with all of that. But I don't think any of that matters. One of the big things to me that just kind of like it's just a huge, I don't want to say it's a red flag, but just like a huge sign, just like above Tesla's ticker that just says buy here. And that's going to all happen after hours on Friday when the S&P indexers soak up about 17% of the float, which resembles the amount of shares that are available to trade publicly. And that equates to around $50 billion worth of Tesla. That's an amazing move. When you think about the amount of movement that it took for Tesla to kind of correct itself this week, when only $5 billion was sold off, think about that 10 times being bought up. And so there is a lot of speculation going on as far as, well, there's been a lot of hedge funds that have been kind of like bidding this up in anticipation of flipping out of this thing before the indexers get in and that they're buying it at a premium and that Tesla's going to crash. I don't think any of that's going to happen. I think that we do see some movement go up. And Fat Man Zoom, I actually kind of had a little bit of a bold prediction myself. My expectations here is that I think that we see Tesla close, and I'm going to not say at 4 o'clock, but at the 8 o'clock hour on Friday, that Tesla will close after hours at $6.85 per share. That's where I'm going with it.
That's a good number. I like that.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. So we looked at Etsy. Etsy was when it entered in the S&P back in August or September. And what I had discussed with you guys was a few trading days before the entry happens, you start to see the movement.
Yeah.
So we talked about Wednesday, you start seeing the movement. So if you're thinking about getting in, if you're not in, I don't know why you're not in, but if maybe you missed the boat on that, which is fair. If you want to get in, I would be getting in on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'd wait to see sort of how things shake out, but I'd get in then. And then, the big question is now that we're coming up on it, is will it run up? I think most people would say it is going to run up, but then the next question would be, okay, then what happens after?
Right.
Does it sell off? And that's the one thing that I was curious about because, we usually, it's a buy the rumor, sell the news. And so the 21st would essentially be the news, the entry would happen. I think I'm being objective in saying this is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so the question I keep coming back to is how many people are just trying to flip this and how many people are truly in this for the long term? And you have institutions, for those that don't know, when we talk about the money going in, it's the S&P index that's going to be flowing money in.
Yeah.
But then there's all these indexes that mimic the S&P 500. So Vanguard has two, one's VOO, and then there's another one that they have. But basically every big fund house has something that mimics the S&P. So they're now going to have Tesla in it. So that's going to be interesting as well. And I'm inclined to say there's going to be a drop and there might be a slight sell-off or profit taking after, but I think it goes back up. And I think at least for the next month, we continue to see a run. And I think this thing surpasses $700 going into next year.
Yeah, man, going into the end of the year is going to be wild and exciting. And whether it goes up or down, right? I think it's just going to be really exciting to see which way this goes because it's just been an incredible story leading up to the end of 2020. We talk about how 2020 has been such a shitty year in so many different ways. For Tesla, it's been amazing. We've seen they've been able to raise $12.5 billion in capital. They now have $20 billion sitting in what Elon Musk calls his war chest. So it's just $20 billion in cash sitting there to do whatever he wants to do with it. We saw him basically move out of California, expecting to potentially move the factory out of Fremont, which could be huge, moving everything down into Texas. So just all kinds of interesting things that Elon's been doing. So there's just so many other possibilities. I always talk about when I'm investing in companies, I invest in something and then I'm usually out once I feel as if the story has finished being written. And Tesla the story is just far from over. And 2021 is shaping up to be another incredible year. Wouldn't it be crazy if they ended up splitting it yet again? That would be insane.
That would be insane. And a couple of people are asking about, or just basically saying that after the inclusion, they're going to wait for that dip. I agree. I mean, we know what we know about Tesla is the extreme volatility, and there's going to be opportunities. And so if it were me and I wasn't in, I probably wouldn't chase. Like I said, I think that if you're going to, I think Monday or Tuesday is your last chance before it gets included. But at this point, if I wasn't in, I would just wait. And it's going to happen. There's going to be opportunities. And I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on, but we've seen this happen recently, and we haven't really talked too much about it, Brad, but have you noticed that the past like month or so since the news inclusion, that there's been little things coming out, and maybe it's a little bit more than a month, but about like recalls or issues. And I feel like that's going to be coming for Tesla because everything's just going so perfectly that I feel like there's going to be some people coming for them, the institutions, to try to get better entry points. And I know it sounds crazy, but I believe it happens. I believe analysts like have some things in their back pocket that they throw out when they're like, oh, 700 is too high. Let me get it at 550 is more reasonable. Yes, we have issues with the Model S.
Yeah, right. And it's hard not to think about that. And I feel like there's got to be some level of truth to that to a certain degree. I do see some price predictions in the chat, all of them including something along the lines 695. We have 669, 69, 69. Or I'm sorry, 696, 69, I should say. I'm not seeing that there's any kind of running theme here at all, but there could be 69, 694, 20. Yeah, they're all great guesses in my opinion.
Well, team coaching says I'll buy at 300. Good luck with that, brah.
Yeah, you might be waiting for a while for that. But yeah, there's a couple of people saying that they think it's going to get up over 700. I think that there's definitely a possibility that could happen, but I really like that nice solid number at 685. Let us know in the comments too, if you're watching this later, what you guys think that Tesla's going to end up at by the end of the week. And it'll be interesting to see what happens next Monday. So we're super excited about that. What we got next? Oh, go ahead.
Were you able to, I'm sorry, I was kind of distracted. Did you pull up the supports and resistances? Can we look at the chart?
Oh, sure. I did not, but let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. So if you guys want to just kind of check out the chart, I do have this pulled up on the daily. And it's interesting when you look at it on the daily because it's just gone up so much. There really isn't like a solid, strong support until we come back out to the 4 hour, and it gives us a little bit more of an idea of where this has been sitting. So it closed at around 610 on Friday, and it seems to have kind of developed a support right around 604, and we've seen just a small spike down below that, but it comes right back up, and that's kind of where it closed up higher than that. But 604, 605 seems to be a really solid area of support on that on the 4 hour chart. If we get this back up over around 624, I think that this is when we see a really nice continuation for Tesla. But so those are two areas that I definitely would keep an eye on. If Tesla comes back, hangs around 605, that would be an area that I would consider scooping up or adding to a position if you're already in. For the Webull account here, we have an average of 433, which is pretty incredible. And if it does come back down, hang around the 605 area, it may end up continuing to add to that as well in this Webull portfolio. But if I don't get an opportunity to add to this, I'm fine with it. I can just let it sit here and it can keep rolling, and I'm fine with where I have Tesla at right now.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before during our other live streams, and particularly during the morning mentorship where we trade live. We talk about the scaling strategy and having a plan and having it. Everybody always wants to think about when to get in. They want to think about how much money they're going to make, when the reality is what's more important is, or just as important, is your exit strategy. And you should have that before you enter into stock, and minimizing losses. And we have videos and member content on that. But what I just want to say is this is the perfect example of, before this week gets crazy, before things start moving, know where your take profit is, scale out, I'd want to scale out. I'd want to understand when I'm going to scale out. Now, let's be clear. Brad and I are on the same page where our long-term portfolio, we're not touching this. We're not selling it. No. But our swing trading account, we will take profits at certain times. It's safe to say that we'll both probably have a starter position, and no matter what, I don't think anytime soon we're going to both be out of it, but we're going to take profits because we're both more than full position size on this. And it's really important to decide that before there's a huge run, because if you're in the middle of the day and there's a huge run up and you're like, oh, well, it could go more, that gets you in trouble. And if it falls down, like, you already know, hey, this is where I decided to get out. I think that we could see it get below 600. And by looking at the 4-hour chart, I think 583 would be, I can't see it getting below that, to be quite honest with you. But anywhere around that 600 is going to be a good entry, in my opinion. But you got to know what you believe before it starts. And I feel like that's what we see time and time again, where people are holding the bag because they didn't know what their exit was. They only plan for if it's going to make a ton of money, not if it moves down. So that's just really important. I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, just make sure you guys have a plan, going into it one way or the other. Whatever you decide to do doesn't have to be exactly what we're doing, but as long as you have a plan and don't deviate from that plan, sticking to that discipline, I think you'll be just fine with this bad boy. But for our opinions, we think this thing is going up, not down overall in the week. We have about 552 of you guys hanging out here. First of all, thank you for hanging out. We appreciate your time and appreciate you just kind of showing us our support just by watching. We certainly appreciate it. But if you wouldn't mind giving us that thumbs up, we got about 74 likes. We certainly would appreciate that as well.
Ooh, that's weak.
It is kind of a little bit weak sauce. I wasn't going to try to call you out, but Fat Man Zoom already did it. So if you guys could give us a thumbs up, we certainly appreciate it, just to show some additional support. Speaking of support, we do have our Chaos Crew members, and we just finally eclipsed that 1,000-member mark. We thank you guys so much for the support there. If you guys are interested in joining, make sure you hit that join button next to subscribe. Also, the link is in the description if you can't see it there. We put out a watch list every single day that's part of the Chaos Crew. We also, if you guys can see some of the icons, the bulls, the bears next to people's names, those people are part of the Chaos Crew, and we definitely would love to have you guys be a part of that. And so if you want to do that, make sure you're hitting that join button. We'd love to have you guys over there.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody saw my comment early, because I know Steve King, Esperanza, were getting excited about the Tesla stock giveaway. It's going to be next Sunday, and we have been announcing it. I know some of you guys can't attend the live streams during the week, but here's what we did. In the push to 1,000 members, we decided for that milestone, we were going to give away a free share of Tesla. And I initially said we would do it immediately after the Stock Watch Sunday. Given the time frame and the fluctuations in numbers, we decided that we were going to make it the day before the inclusion. It just made sense. So it's going to be next Sunday. 100% we're going to be giving it away. Sorry, sorry, crew members who got excited about it. You got to wait one more week, but we're going to raffle it off. So if you haven't got in, you still have an opportunity to get into the crew and be a part of the raffle, and you'll get one share of Tesla if you win it, no matter what the price is at Sunday. So we'll hook you up on that. Appreciate the love, Matt Dixon, with the donation. But I just wanted to say that. So that's 1,000. And then we have live streams. We have member videos, tons of content. As far as a value proposition, we're crushing it on that. So ask anybody in the crew. They got with the Bulls and the Bears. They'll tell you how good it is. But what do you say we move on?
Let's do it. So you guys know what it is. After we talk about our main topic, we're going to get into the top 5 stocks that we are watching for this week. Now, there's definitely a lot to these top 5 stocks. So there's earnings going on, but a lot of these also are impacted by the vaccine news. So we're definitely talk about that a little bit. If you guys have questions about that, make sure you're hitting us up in the chat as well. But my first stock that I am watching this week is Rite Aid. Rite Aid has earnings on Thursday pre-market. They're estimating earnings per share are at a loss of 5 cents, and I think that they actually do come in positive. I'm going to put it at 0.01. So I'm going to put 1 cent per share is what they're going to come in at. This obviously is going to be a vaccine play. Already has run a ton since we called it a buy down below $10 a share. It's run 100% since then, 100+% since then, I should say. And I think that this is just going to continue to be a really good move. Last time Rite Aid actually came in with some pretty solid numbers, but had some issues as far as some of their debt that they were offloading. And so that kind of caused some issues, and that's why it came down so much. I think the story is going to be a lot different this time around. Consensus estimate for fiscal third quarter revenues are pegged right around 5.85 billion. Sorry, which is going to be a 7% increase from the prior year's quarter, and I think that is before the vaccine distribution. So it'll be interesting to see on their earnings report, on their conference call, what they're going to be talking about as far as the vaccine is concerned, because, there was this negative impact when Amazon came out with their Amazon Pharmacy, line and all that good stuff. But the one thing that Rite Aid, CVS, and a lot of these other ones have on Amazon is the fact that they can administer the vaccine in-house. You can come into a Rite Aid, you come into a CVS, what have you, and that's how CVS is going to be able to administer that vaccine to those who want it. And I think it's going to be a huge impact for the stock. As I had mentioned before, I'm going to pull this up too, and I'll share my screen here with you. Just give me one moment. And, like I said, this has run up 100% since we had called this out below $10 a share. No reason to believe that this isn't going to continue to run. Don't be afraid of these highs. When I'm looking at the daily chart here, my God, Fat Man Zoom, look at this chart. It's so beautiful. I think that we see this break above $20.32 leading into Thursday. Honestly, I think that they beat this, and I think that this continues to rip face leading into the end of the year. There's no reason why I would say sell Rite Aid. You want to be out of this. Don't get into it. Run away. I'm telling you, this is going to be something that I think that is going to be worth running towards, even though this has run an insane amount over the last couple of weeks.
Can you pull out the chart a little bit further to like a year?
Yeah, let me pull out the weekly chart and see if that'll help you. So let's do that.
The only reason I'm saying is because I know people are a lot of bringing up like falling back into the teens.
Yeah.
I think that also what they need to remember is like, sorry, a little bit further.
Yeah.
So one they also need to realize is that this still has, we don't love this stock. Let's be clear. We are CVS people.
Yes.
I know people are saying Walgreens. Everything Brad said pertains to whatever stock you choose in this field, right? So if you look at around July, I mean, even below July, this is downward trend, which we don't love downward trending things, but these are the type of events that could help us spike. And again, this is a swing. So we feel like there's huge opportunity for Rite Aid in particular. So we actually been playing Rite Aid for a while when it had the massive drop. So I don't know if you can use just the past few months as a good indicator. I think you need to look at the bigger picture when you think about what kind of move this will make. So just wanted to point that out, but whatever company you like, whether it be Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, it all pertains to it. So awesome call. Next one, Peloton. And Matt Dixit actually ironically just put something in the chat. He put a question. I know he didn't realize that it was the one I was talking about, but he had basically said, let me pull it up. So did you know, Brad, that Peloton is entering into the NASDAQ 100?
I thought I saw something on that, but I didn't look too much into it.
Yeah, so yesterday they announced that they were getting entered into the NASDAQ 100, got lost in all this Tesla news, the same exact day as Tesla. So on the 21st, Peloton will be entered into it. I think that makes it bullish for the same reasons that we're bullish on Tesla. It's not as huge of a deal because S&P is a bigger entry. Yeah. And there are more stringent requirements to get into it. However, it's still a big deal. And it shows what the institutions, how the institutions feel about Peloton as a company from a long-term perspective. And just like we say with these tech companies that have had massive run-ups, Jonathan Schreiber mentioned how he was getting out of Drive Shack. And like, we have a lot of companies that have, 3X, 4X, 5X moves. But you got to understand why they're having that moves. And basically we're taking years of growth and we've condensed them down to months and they're not going anywhere. So I wanted to read the comment that Mad said, just saw the news there in NASDAQ 100. Is it still a buy or just wait to settle the FOMO? I think it's actually at really good levels right now. It's up 352% year to date. I get it. But when you look at the growth, if you break down how much the company's grown, it'll make a lot of sense. So I pulled a few numbers to sort of justify my case here. So last earnings, Peloton had reported 232% year over year growth. Insane. Okay. Yeah. So that's not stopping. The other thing they did and why people have been bullish on Peloton was they increased their guidance to nearly 4 billion a year. So it was about 3.2 billion, moved it up to like 3.6 for revenue for the year. And their first quarter just started for their fiscal year. So over the next 4 quarters, they anticipate to do $4 billion in revenue. Even further, they said this quarter that we're currently in is going to be their best quarter ever. It's going to be their best holiday season ever. And it's going to be the first quarter that they hit $1 billion in revenue. For context, last quarter was about $750 million. And remember, I said it was 232% year over year. So the previous year, it was around $230 million.
That's crazy.
So 2 years pass. So I'm not even 2 years, a little over a year passes, and you go from $232 million in a quarter to $1 billion. And let me tell you something, Brad, it ain't going to be 1.01 billion. It's probably going to be about 1.2, 1.3 billion in the quarter, which is bananas.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring up that number. We've talked about their growth with their subscriber base. People are going to probably say in the comments about demand. That's a good thing. You're like the delays. Yeah, we don't love delays, but that means that the demand's there.
Right.
They have a brand that's best in class and people love it and they'll wait for it. They've had some customer service issues. They acknowledge that in their earnings calls. They're going to be addressing that. But the bottom line is their product is superior to their competitors. It's not even close. And people are going to continue to stay at home, buy Peloton. And the best part of this quarter is that it's holiday season. So everybody that wanted to get a Peloton, they're going to start getting it as gifts from family, friends, whatever have you. But the reality is that they crushed it last quarter. They're going into their best quarter. So I'm all bullish on this. And I gave you that $1.2 billion number. That number hits if we have only 40% sequential growth quarter to quarter from last quarter to this quarter.
Yeah.
The reality is, 50%. The reality is last year, quarter to quarter, it was over 100% sequential growth. So I'm being very conservative when I give you these numbers. And I'm sorry, I'm spitting all these out at the same time. But here's the simple thing. They're going to crush it. They're going to blow it out of the water. They have the new tread coming. They have the row machine coming in 2021. And the new bike, the Bike Plus has been awesome. This thing is going to be unstoppable for the foreseeable future, Brad.
Yeah, man. And first of all, well done, sir. But the one looming question I have, and I think there's going to be a lot of people who are watching tonight also have the same question about Peloton, is the vaccine. The FDA has approved emergency use distribution for the vaccine, and we've seen not so great moves come from positive vaccine news and that sort of thing from a lot of the stay-at-home / remote plays. We obviously see that Zoom is heavily influenced by that, but we still feel bullish about Zoom. What do you think is going to happen this week, especially going into tomorrow, as far as the price action of Zoom's concerned?
So as far as Zoom's concerned?
No, Peloton. We're still just remote work in general and just how they're all connected and that sort of thing.
Well, I will say that Zoom has been on my mind. We've talked about this off camera. I wanted Zoom in this slot, but I think that, so I love Zoom, especially long-term. It's a buy undoubtedly.
Yeah.
But it's been the one that stood out, has gotten really, really hammered. However, Peloton has surprisingly hung up really well. And we talked about this during the closing bell live stream with the members is I think people already have planned for this. So I don't think it's as bad as you would anticipate when like the other vaccine news have come out when we had like Pfizer's efficacy at 95% and Moderna and all those things came out. I'm going to be honest, Brad, Peloton has held up really well and I don't really see it. It'll dip, but I think it's going to get scooped back up pretty quickly and I wouldn't be worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree too. It is very telling to see that Peloton has reacted very little to the vaccine news, whereas you look at the Zoom chart and it is drastically different. Peloton's gone up as high as $139.75. I think that it has a really nice support sitting here at 111 and then a very clear resistance on this daily chart at 120. So if we see a break above 120 on Peloton, I think we see a really nice move and it starts to make that attempt to re-break those all-time highs at 140. But if you guys are looking for opportunities to enter, I definitely think that waiting for maybe a potential pullback to 110, even maybe 106 area could be on the table. But if it does break that 110, 120, be on the lookout because I think we see a nice continuation to the upside as far as Peloton's concerned.
Yep.
My next one here is going to be FedEx. FedEx to me is just going to be another benefactor of this vaccine play. So we obviously have heard that there's been emergency approval from the FDA for the Pfizer vaccine, and it is just going out in full force. FedEx is going to be a direct benefactor of this because of the fact that they're going to be delivering the vaccine all over the place. And they just going to stand to benefit. UPS is also going to be in this game as well as far as delivery of the vaccine is concerned. So there's definitely a lot of moving parts and a lot of benefactors of this vaccine distribution. But the other thing is that they also have earnings this week. After hours on Thursday, their estimated earnings per share at $3.93. My estimated earnings per share, Fat Man Zoom. You want to take guesses? What
I know it's going to be monster. I already prepared for that.
It is $5.12 is our estimated earnings per share is what's going to be my estimation. Why? Because last time it was $4.87, and that was without the holiday season around the corner. We are set to have one of the biggest holiday seasons, especially when it comes to e-commerce, and you can't have e-commerce without FedEx, UPS, and even to a certain extent now with Amazon having their parcel delivery services taking place. FedEx is going to absolutely be monstrous. I would imagine at the tail end of the third quarter here that we have seen such a huge push in sales with FedEx, and that's why I think that they're going to absolutely crush earnings. It's going to be extremely monstrous. I would imagine that this fourth quarter coming up and the numbers that we're going to see in 2021 for this quarter are going to be absolutely amazing. In September, executives suggested that the 2020 holiday season could bring a volume peak unlike anything that FedEx has ever experienced to date. And I think that we see an outlook from them after this earnings call on FedEx.
I have $4.23 a share, and I looked at it. I knew for sure you were over $5 a share. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm like, this guy's going to go crazy.
Listen, man, just go big or go home.
Yeah, so I'll say $4.23 a share. And for the sake of time, I'm going to move on to the next stock. So we have number 4, Nike. I wanted to put Nike on because they have earnings on Friday. We both love this stock. They have done such an incredible job to transition to the e-commerce side. And the thing about Nike is they just continue to reinvent themselves and to widen the gap between them and their competitors, and it ain't even close, Brad. It's not even close. And so here's why I love Nike, why I'm excited for these earnings. So they have the earnings after hours Friday, 62 cents a share. I have them coming in at 89 cents a share. And so I think that what will really stand out and what stands out for me is the direct to consumer. Yeah. They made a conscious effort that they were going to move to e-commerce. They scaled back wholesalers and they only kept the select few that they were going to work with. They terminated their partnership with Amazon, which I think is an incredibly smart move from sort of a brand value perspective. Yep. And then what they did was said, hey, we're going to do it ourselves. We're going to build it ourselves, and we're going to focus on personalized experience and direct to consumer. And it timed perfectly. And if you remember at the beginning of Rona, they had a bumpy earnings, but then everything clicked for their e-commerce, and it was just, they ran away and they're at all-time highs. Again, you're going to hear this trend. Like, if it's the right company, you don't have to be afraid of all-time highs. And what one statistic that I wanted to pull was that their growth from e-commerce was about 30%. They're expecting next year to be 50%. Oh, sorry, I said that wrong. So e-commerce accounts for 30% of revenue. Next year, they're expecting it to be 50% of revenue, and revenue ain't going down, it's going up. Yeah. And so that to me speaks volumes that half of your revenue is going to come from e-commerce, which means that, they're working on their experience for in-store brick and mortar, but that's huge from an overhead perspective. To be able to sell on e-commerce, that's your greatest margins, and scalability wise, that as the revenues go up, it doesn't take a lot from an expense perspective to accommodate that growth. So it's huge. Their stores are great. I don't think brick and mortar is going anywhere, but I know that the focus is going to e-commerce. And if they can achieve that 50% number, these all-time highs are going to be nothing. You could see $200 a share.
Yeah. There's very few companies out there that can pivot in order to survive. And the speed in which that you can pivot is obviously super crucial to the ability for you, or to the the road to success as far as you're concerned, and really just survival. Nike's figured out not only how to survive, but thrive. And we use that term a lot with companies that we just like a ton. And so those companies are going to be handsomely rewarded, especially as the vaccine continues to roll out and things get back to quote unquote normal, whatever that means. And Nike's going to stand to benefit from here. I know it's close to all-time highs, but don't be afraid of those folks. It's going higher in our opinion. We like Nike a lot. The next one, the last one that we have on the watch list here, and this might come to a shock to you guys. It's super speculative, so take note. But we wanted to give something a little bit outside of the box. Listen, it's easy to talk about FedEx. It's easy to talk about Nike. It's easy to talk about all these other big stocks. But one that we love in particular is Drive Shack. And I will say that Fat Man Zoom has brought this to my attention, so he deserves all the credit. But I felt as if that this one belonged on the watch list because, yes, we've talked about it and featured it on some pre-recorded videos and that sort of thing. We've kind of talked about it more so in passing than anything else in some of our live streams, but I felt it needed a feature piece on Stockwatch Sunday because Drive Shack, in our opinion, stands to benefit not only because if people are afraid to engage in activities that are closer than 6 feet apart or what have you, that Drive Shack is a really good opportunity to, just kind of hang out with your friends and still be socially distant from others. If you don't know what Drive Shack is, it's essentially a competitor to Topgolf. Now, this is still a very, very, I guess the market here is in its very beginning stages. So if you aren't familiar with Topgolf, it's essentially kind of like, I don't know, I would equate it to something like bowling. Like if you guys went out bowling with a bunch of your friends, you get kind of like back in the day, whatever. This is kind of like that step up where you just kind of go out and have a couple drinks, you can eat whatever, and then just kind of hit some golf balls at a driving range and kind of make a game out of it or what have you. Drive Shack is a direct competitor of theirs, and there really isn't anybody else. I think that Drive Shack, if anything, could end up becoming a little bit of a rival to Topgolf, and this is your opportunity to kind of get in rather early. They have they've been doing a lot of things as far as growth is concerned here, and I want to preface this by saying that there's a long shot here. Drive Shack is still very speculative. They still have a long road to go. They still need to raise a bunch of capital in order to continue to achieve the growth that they're looking to achieve. But the potential is there. And one of them has to do with them selling a lot of property, especially we just saw them sell property out in Joaquin, California. So this is going to be something that I think that is going to be a really good stock to watch, especially for 2021. But leading into the end of this year, this is why I wanted to bring up this week, because it's made a 100% move, over a 100% move since we called it out here on this channel around in the low $1 range. And it's moved up quite considerably, but we think that there's still plenty of upside here, Fat Man Zoom.
Yeah, Jason Toscano said drive shit. Our resident 12-year-old, Jason, I think you're 12, right? Our resident 12-year-old's cursing, man. Your parents are going to be pissed. But, as I'm reading through these comments and as people are tweeting and they've been tweeting me about Drive Shack and how well they're doing, it's up 100% the past 3 months, 80% the last 30 days. It's not over, people. It really isn't over. And, and I know it feels good when you have a 100% run, but this is only the beginning, is my belief. It is technically a penny stock. There is a tremendous volatility. I went through the earnings last quarter, the earnings call and the presentation. It's incredible. I was already a fan. It got me so amped up about the opportunities. And for me, the way they're thinking is smart. And if I was a C-level, I'd be smart. So a couple of things they're doing. One is they've added new leadership that I really like. They had a head of investor relations. They added, I believe it's their CFO,
yeah,
which was JC Penney's. And then they had another C-level that they added. So it's showing me that they're stepping up their leadership, which is good for the future. And they're thinking about the fiscally responsible piece of that. They also, one of the big things that I mentioned to you, Brad, at the very beginning, my one big issue with them is sort of the capital expense, because these things are huge. And I've been to them and they have like hours and hours of wait times before the pandemic. And so anybody who's been asking us about Play, ticker symbol Play, which is Dave and Buster's, get off it. get off it. That stock's done. You're wasting your time. You're going to be a world of pain. Maybe it'll move in the short term, but that stock's done for the long term. This is the new play. So if you want something, either Drive Shack or Callaway, ticker symbol LY, you could do one or the other, but this one has huge upside. And the reason why I love this is because they addressed the question, which was like, how are you going to be able to build these $25 million to $40 million properties? To build a Drive Shack, it's $25 to $40 million just to build it. And it generates about a $7 to $11 million in revenue through that.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I'm sorry, in EBITDA through that. Sorry. I'm doing horrible today, but bear with me. $4 to $6 million EBITDA, but it's about $11 million in revenue. So those are cool. That's fine. But it takes about 6 years to pay this off if you're efficient and if you hit your numbers.
Yeah.
They're now launching what's called the Puttery, which is like an indoor mini golf complex, and they're bringing it to urban centers. And their hope is that they believe, which I also believe, that commercial is going to get really hard and there's going to be really favorable lease agreements out there. And so they're going to get an opportunity to get in cheap and have these smaller spaces. And they're going to build these bigger spaces in the B cities or in the counties and leverage this Puttery. The Puttery is far cheaper and takes half the time to pay itself back. So it's about 7 to 11 million just to build one of these Putteries, and it's generating 3 to 6 million in EBITDA. So to pay these things off is going to be quick, easy. I love it. It's smart, and they are going to make a run at Topgolf, and they don't need to pass them for us to make a lot of money on this stock. All they need to do is stand shoulder to shoulder with them. This company opened in 2018. They have 4 Drive Shack locations. By the end of 2021, they should be triple to quadruple in the size. I love this stock. I'm adding to it in my long-term portfolio.
Yeah, guys, and I see a lot of you folks talking about Callaway. We love Callaway. We're just giving you an alternative to that. If you guys want to continue to play Callaway, by all means. But if you want something that's speculative, it's nice and cheap, you want to you want to play a little bit on the wild side, we think Drive Shack's definitely one to take a look at. The other thing to take notice as well is that about 3-4 weeks ago, only about 3 hedge funds were invested in Drive Shack, and that's tripled since then. So I know that's still a small number, but again, we're talking about a small stock, and the big money's taking notice. So I think it was worth taking notice ourselves as well, at least continue to take notice. And that is going to do it for our 5 stocks to watch this week. Now, don't go anywhere. We're still here. So we're going to be hanging out. If you guys have questions about stocks that you're looking at that you'd like our input on, make sure that you're putting them in the chat. We'd love to have you chat about those as well. And we're going to go ahead and answer those in just a sec. Real quick, we have 871 concurrent viewers in here watching. Wow, we appreciate you guys hanging out. This is a pretty high night for us as far as Stock Watch Sunday is concerned. So thanks for hanging out. We certainly appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind giving us a thumbs up if you guys are enjoying the stream so far and want to be a more part of the channel, we encourage you to check out the Chaos Crew. If you hit that join button next to subscribe, you get an opportunity to get a daily watch list from us, private live streams, all that good stuff. You get pretty sweet badges next to your name in the chat, and everything else. And also access to our Webull portfolio that we post daily updates to as well. If you guys want to see what we're investing in, all that good stuff, we'd love to have you over at the Chaos Crew and get entered into a raffle for a free share of Tesla that we'll be announcing next Sunday. We certainly would love to have you guys over there for $4.99 a month. You can't beat it.
Yeah, everybody say bye to Reg. He's spamming the chat, so he's about to go bye-bye. All right, what's up, Willis? Willis is in the house. So we're going to get into these questions. And if we don't get to your questions, go to stockwatchsunday.com, click on Ask a Question, and we'll be able to answer those. Unfortunately, we can't get to everybody's, but we'll start with our main man, Steve King. What's going on? When do we get to purchase the green boner candles? So to be determined. So we're working on it. We'll have a draft this week. And I was hoping to have them by now, but we should have the draft this week. I was promised we'd have the draft this week, and then hopefully we'll have them by next Sunday. We'll be able to officially launch it, but we'll let you guys know. You'll be the first to hear from it. DJ Matter, what's going on? Snowflake lockup expiration day is Monday. Will it drop?
Which one?
The Snowflake.
Oh.
SNOW.
There's a very good likelihood that it could. And let me go ahead and take a look at this chart here. And we can already see that it did drop off already. And this could be in anticipation of that. I don't know how many shares actually are going to come into the float as far as the lockup's concerned, or could potentially come into the float as far as the lockup's concerned. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. I'd have to take a closer look at that. But anytime a lockup period comes up, there's usually some pretty decent selling. You got to think, if you don't know what a lockup period is, it's essentially shares that are held by insiders or what have you, angel investors, anybody who got into this before its IPO. They're required to hold on to those shares until the lockup period is over. Well, now that we're coming up on that lockup period over, that is expiring, those investors now want their money. They're ready to cash in. So that could impact this stock coming up. Make sure you keep an eye on it. But I'm looking at resistance or support levels here at 340. And then again, down here, maybe around 300. Those are areas that it could very well potentially come down to once that lockup period is over.
Yeah, I was thinking about the same support. And the one thing I'm worried, because I was like, could this thing see 300?
Yeah. Easy.
Maybe, and the reason's not only the lockup, but the horrible timing that the lockup happens at the same time as this authorization for the vaccine. And it's, you're talking about a data cloud company.
Yep.
And so that doesn't bode well. So the timing is a little tough on it. But people love this stock. Maybe it's an opportunity if you really believe in it and you've done your due diligence on it. Next question, checking the nuts. What's going on? What's going to happen with SPCE after failed flight test? So Virgin Galactic, I didn't even hear that there was a failed flight test.
I didn't either, but I saw this thing was going off like crazy, and it was due for a pullback. This could probably prompt that. And look, this thing is super speculative. We've seen SPCE go absolutely insane, and then it falls on its face, then it goes insane again, and then it kind of reacts a little bit kind of like their test flights, where it just goes way up in the air and then crashes and fails. We could see an opportunity for SPCE to come back down to the low 20s, maybe even lower than that, because we have seen how this reacts in instances and events such as this. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw this come back to maybe around $23 a share. If it goes down lower, wouldn't shock me there either.
Next question, Sonat Faisal. What's going on? Can you tell me something about stimulus possibility? If it doesn't finalize anything, can the market be crashed or corrected?
Yes, I think it could. This is something that we've talked about for weeks now, that if we don't see some sort of stimulus very, very soon, a lot of businesses and a lot of people could be in trouble. We're seeing unemployment that was enhanced by the previous stimulus is all that's expiring. So all that's going away. People are going to be running out of money very, very fast, very, very soon. And if Congress doesn't do something, then we're in a lot of trouble. And so that's definitely something that you should be aware of, keep yourself mindful of. We talk about making sure that you have some sort of cash on the sidelines. And, up to this point, we've talked about, we think that, having being heavily invested in equities makes a lot of sense, but you always want to have some sort of cash on the sidelines. So if you guys want to have a little bit more cash hanging out, I think it obviously makes sense. And it really comes down to your risk tolerances and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think that there's definitely that's still hanging in, it's that black cloud that's hanging over us right now.
Jay Chandradas, great show, Brad and Fat Man Zoom. What do you think of Overstock and upside potential now that it's almost hit its lowest? Ticker symbol OSTK.
First of all, thanks for the kind words, bruh. Appreciate you. But as far as Overstock's concerned, it's been a weird mover, especially when it comes to a lot of the e-commerce stocks. We personally love Etsy in this space more than probably just about anything not named Amazon. But if you're looking for a possible entry on this thing, I like it around $51, $50.76.
Sneaky Lex, do you feel the market is too overvalued? Even if there are catalysts coming with stimulus, should we sell some stocks that have run up like Etsy or Tesla?
I think it makes sense to trim something. I would not want to be out of the market at all. I think 2021, regardless of stimulus, is still going to be a banner year for the economy. So if you're looking for longer term holds, then no, I would not want to be out of the market whatsoever. But if you're looking for shorter term gains, then yes, it makes sense to trim some. But again, don't want to be completely out of the market. If anything, I would much rather have the majority of my money in stocks, still having cash on the sidelines to add the dips. But I think that any of those dips or corrections are going to be short-lived.
Yeah. And I think that Brad and I are kind of in the same lane, but I think we're I'm a little bit less optimistic. I don't understand how we can continue this way. And so I think there's going to be a correction. I think there's, I just mentioned there's going to be all-time highs. I feel confident about the market in the long term. But I am trying to really work through my strategy for January because I'm a little bit concerned about the first half of January, especially if there's no stimulus. But overall for the year, I still feel good. And that doesn't mean I'm totally out of it. I'm going to have more cash on hand. I'm probably going to have about 50% cash on hand, and I'm just going to look for opportunities. I'm not going to be totally out, but yeah, I am a little bit worried about how hot we're running. But then there's all these other impacts when we reopen regarding people's mortgages, people's jobs, all that other stuff. And then what you haven't, like basically what's been going on since then, because we already know people live paycheck to paycheck. I think the statistics like 63% of people can't afford like a $500 emergency or whatever. So you're living paycheck to paycheck. That was before you didn't have stimulus and you've just been sitting at home. And I'm like, okay, so like you couldn't get kicked out of your place, but like, how do you make up those payments? Like you're going to have to make that stuff up at some point. So I'm worried. I'm a little bit nervous about that, but we'll just see how that plays out. Never hurts to sell in green. Never hurts.
Nope.
Shane Haley. Speaking of speculative penny stocks, what are your thoughts on MMEDF? I generally stay away from these pump and dumps, but curious if you guys have been hearing the hype like I have.
Yeah, I've seen this move around, but the thing of it is that obviously, look, this thing is just boner candles all day. There's not one part of me that wants this all the way up here. The other thing is that the designation, the F designation, means that this is a foreign stock, especially with the OTC. It's just Shadesville. And I just coined that term, so mark it. But I think that the F stocks, for me personally, while they can be profitable for some if you know how to trade them, this is something that I just would not want to be a part of.
B Hustle, what's up? Any thoughts on Wish IPO going on the block this Thursday? One of Brad's favorite companies.
Yeah, so this is actually something, obviously it doesn't have a chart yet, but we probably will talk about this a little bit leading into its IPO. We'll be live on Thursday. I'm sure this will either will be a topic of conversation or will be brought up as a topic of conversation. I don't know. I don't know if this is something that I want to be a part of. I don't like the company at all. You guys, we all know the jokes that go along with Wish and about just kind of like all the trashy products that it goes along with. You can't dispute the fact that they make a ton of money, and obviously the NBA wears them on their jerseys, which is crazy to me. But as far as their IPO is concerned, there's no part of me that thinks that there's not going to be some sort of similar reaction that we saw with DoorDash and Airbnb, even though I think that Wish is a lesser company out of those two. So definitely will be interesting, but if anything, it'll be a quick in and out and then wait to see what it does, just like any other IPO.
Next question we have is Will Hopley, speaking of IPOs, slow movement on Airbnb, ticker symbol. So their IPO was last week on Thursday. Do you guys see more downside as it's overvalued? I mean, if your projected IPO price is 60, but then you're sitting at 140, I don't know.
Yeah, there's plenty of room for this to come down. Fat Man Zoom and I, when we went live during this IPO, we said that we felt as if we could see this come back down well below $100 a share. I think that's definitely a possibility. And so what we're looking for as far as IPOs are concerned, and we always talk about this, right? All these IPOs, they have all this hype leading up to the day of, goes crazy, and then it fizzles out until earnings come up, and so until people have like an actual idea of just how healthy this company is. Airbnb is a 100% buy for me when it makes sense. Right now, it doesn't make sense. I love this company longer term. I think they're going to do amazing things, and I even put out a poll because I believe in this. I think that Airbnb is to hotels what Tesla is to the ICE vehicles, and I strongly feel that way. I think that Airbnb is going to be something that I want to have for long term, just not yet.
Yep. Yeah, don't fall into the trap. The hype train, everybody got in. That's not the play. Wait for earnings.
Exactly.
Stock Journey, thoughts on Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac? I heard they're trying to go private. Thanks for all you guys do. You are welcome.
Yeah, I've heard they're trying to go private too. It'll be interesting to see. I really don't like either one of them. But we also have Biden in here, trying to and a lot of people on his team, people surrounded around him, talking about this loan forgiveness as far as student loans are concerned. We'll see how that plays out, but there's not one part of me that wants either one of these companies.
Your cheesecloth condom pick of the week.
You know what? I was actually looking at this. I'm gonna have to have like one that will be like the the cheesecloth condom, or the triple C of the year. But I gotta go back to Nikola. For those of you idiots that bought this all the way up at $20 a share, what are you thinking? This will be probably the number one CCC stock of the year. But you know, if you guys don't know what this is, essentially, you know, the cheesecloth condoms. We're looking at stocks that are just as reliable as such. So I just don't know if I can get behind. Like, you guys, I don't know who buys this stock. Who does? Who buys Nikola and thinks that they're going to make a ton of money off of it? I just don't get it.
People smoking crack, man. They're eating
I know.
their mom's crack pot pie.
Hey. But yeah.
I did. So that's all we have for the questions. I did. Damn, we almost hit 1,000.
Yeah, man. We're at 943 concurrent viewers. Guys, we can't thank you enough for hanging out. We certainly appreciate you. Thanks for clicking the button just to watch us. So, most times
I wanted
this show
to
is
say something real quick. Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off. So member videos are one of the important things about the crew. I mentioned this last week. I'm going to keep mentioning this, and then maybe it'll be a topic of conversation in the closing bell. Guys, start thinking about tax strategy. It's in the end of the year.
Yes.
Understand how you can leverage the tax that you've made losses on, and couple that with the ones you've had gains. Don't ask me about the wash rule. The reality is, don't try to get cute. Don't try to sell and pick it back up. The IRS knows about it, but you have an opportunity to sell the ones that are a loss. And if you want to join the crew, we're going to talk you through that and how that works. But start thinking about it. If you haven't thought about it, we created a video on it, but now's the time to figure out, you know, how do I strategically plan with my taxes to leverage that opportunity where it's up to $3,000 worth of your losses. And if it's more, you can carry that over every year for as long as you want to carry it over. So just wanted to bring that up. I don't want to forget about that.
Yeah, no, it's a really great point to bring up. And again, if you guys want to be a part of the Chaos Crew, we certainly would appreciate if you hit that join button next to subscribe. You get our daily watch list as well as access to our public portfolio via Webull that we update every single day, along with those private streams and videos that Fat Man Zoom was alluding to. We'd love to have you guys a part of the Chaos Crew and then enter to get your chance to win a free Tesla stock, free share of Tesla stock. So we'd love to have you guys part of the Chaos Crew. And man, we can't thank you guys enough for hanging out. We had almost 1,000 folks hanging out in our Stock Watch Sunday, which is pretty awesome. I think that might be a record for Stock Watch Sunday. I'd have to go back and check. But thanks for hanging out. We certainly appreciate it. If you guys were hanging with us and you're not subscribed, please consider hitting subscribe. We certainly would appreciate it. We go live on Tuesdays and Thursdays and put out videos in those days in between. And hit that notification bell. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Fat Man Zoom, what else you got for me?
Yeah, just Tuesdays and Thursdays live streams are at 2 p.m. Just so you guys are aware. And then if you're part of the crew, we do a private live stream called The Closing Bell every Tuesday and Thursday as well. Great opportunities. I know there's some people on the fence. There's no commitment. It's month to month. So if you're thinking about it, take the jump and you might get a Tesla stock. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Much
so
love.
I see a lot of people talking about Disney too. Yeah, it's always a hold. Disney's just continuing to run. So, but anyways, also go Ravens. F the Brownies. That's gonna do it for me.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you later.